Good evening and welcome to another episode of All Politics is Local. I'm your host, John Tian. All Politics is Local is a production of the Greater Blackstone Valley Dems. For more information about the Greater Blackstone Valley Dems, feel free to visit our website at www.gbvdems.org. We have a great show planned for you tonight. Here with me in the studio is Brenda Ennis. Brenda is a candidate for 18th Worcester for the state rep seat. There's going to be a primary held in September, and then the general election in November, and hopefully Brenda will be there in the general election in November. We'll see where that goes. Brenda, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, John. Happy to be here.
Thank you for coming. We really appreciate getting the candidates out here, getting the word out to people in the district about what's going on.
Thank you.
So tell me some more about yourself. What brings you to this race?
Sure. Well, I've lived in Oxford for over 20 years. I've been on the school committee for 4 terms, serving as chair at 6 separate years.
Oh, great.
What brings me here is being on the school committee, I think, is one of the biggest things. I have a 15-year-old daughter. Her name is Molly. She is an Oxford High sophomore. She is probably my best supporter.
Okay.
And she is the one that has spurred me on with this. I also lost my husband in 2009, and before that, he had said to me, you need to do this. You need to go to another level. Mm-hmm. At that time, we had some things happening in the family that it was not the right time.
It just wasn't conducive for you to run.
It wouldn't work out. His health was our priority, and we needed to take care of him. Mm-hmm. So now Molly and I are trying to, as I tell everybody, we're carving our own path.
There you go.
And here we go. You know, I had become a nominee for the Unsung Heroine Award from the Mass Coalition of Women in Boston. I was nominated by Senator Moore and State Rep Frost, and this was last April. And Molly and I went to the State House. I received the award. And Molly and I went to the State House for the day, and as we were walking around, she's a little history buff, and she said, Mom, you need to work here.
Yeah, yeah. The history in Boston is just, it's so thick you can cut it with a knife.
Oh, it's magnificent.
You go to a place like Faneuil Hall, and you think about the history of that location. Boston is just absolutely a wonderful city, and Beacon Hill especially just has so much. It's steeped in history.
It is. Yeah. It is. If the walls could talk.
So Molly is 15. She can't vote for you.
Not yet.
Oh,
not
that's
yet.
too bad.
No,
not yet. So when you run for re-election.
That's right. We'll get her in. We'll get her right at the front line.
That's great.
So it's something that has actually, being on the school committee for 4 terms, something I never expected. I never expected to be on this long. Mm-hmm. But it's become a passion. Public service to me now is a passion. It is not, I don't look at it as a job.
Right.
I look at it as something I am very, very good at. And being good at it makes me want to do it at another level.
Sure.
I have worked with families and children and advocated for both for my 4 terms. I have never turned anyone away. Mm-hmm. Everyone that has contacted me always hears back from me. Sometimes I don't have the greatest of solution, but I do try.
Sure.
And then there are other times I have the solution.
Yep.
You know, so that's what has brought me to where I am today. You know, it is. I feel like this is my time.
Okay, and so you said you served as chairperson of the school committee for 6 years.
Yes.
Out of the, have you been there for 8? Is that the 4 terms?
I have been here now 11.
Oh,
I'm in
11
my 11th year now.
Okay.
I'll have one more.
So it's a 3-year term then you get elected to. I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful that you've been chair. Anything else that you've done on the school committee? Any kind of leadership roles that you've taken on?
I have. I've headed searches for our superintendent and principals. Mm-hmm. I have presented our budget to our Board of Selectmen.
Mm-hmm. It's probably a fairly large budget too, right?
It is about, we're looking at a $16 million budget now. And I've made those presentations to our Board of Selectmen and our FinCom. We try to work as closely together as we can. It's a very difficult time because everyone wants a piece of that pie.
Sure.
You know?
And typically the school budget takes up about half or
yeah,
more
yeah.
of a small town's budget.
Yeah.
So now let's talk a little bit about the district. You're from Oxford.
Yes.
Now Oxford, there's only 2 precincts from Oxford that are
Yeah.
actually in this district.
Right.
What else is the district comprised of?
Well, we have, for my part of the district, it is precincts 1 and 4.
Okay.
So it is more the south side of the town. Right now, Rep. Frost is the state rep for the other side of Oxford.
Okay.
Our town does not like that. They don't want to be split.
Sure, but
You know,
redistricting, it has to happen somewhere. So,
I know, and
yeah.
they're not fans of it, that's for sure.
Well, you know what? They've got twice the representation on Beacon Hill.
I
So-
know, but I think I think that they need to have stronger representation.
Okay.
You know,
Yep.
and I think, in my opinion of, if I have to say of myself, I'm a very strong. I'm not a shrinking violet, you know,
Right,
in the
right.
corner.
Yep.
I am very strong. I'm very vocal. I don't mind doing that. I'm not afraid to do that. Sometimes people don't like it. Well, maybe I've struck a nerve or something like that. But I am a very strong woman I will fight for anyone.
Sure.
You know, I will
Sure.
fight. I will go to bat for anyone.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about your platform. What are you running on for a platform?
Well, one of the first issues that has really tugged at my heart and become very personal to me in many ways, because I'm hearing these stories and getting to know some of these people, is child abuse. We have a significant problem of child abuse in the country, in the world. It's everywhere. I have to think of my district right now. I can't change the world. I don't expect to. But I think that children need to be advocated for, even those that are not abused. I think that we have to take a step back and look at, as you and I were talking about DCEF, and what's happening there. I had said to you, the policy changes, piece by piece by piece, the policies need to be looked at and reviewed. That is the first way, I think, to fix that. It's not always money. I know that money is necessary, but let's go outside of the box first and see what the policies are,
Sure.
what's happening with them.
Sure.
The other part of my passion for the child abuse, the children, is in Webster. Sadly, when you look at the demographic of Webster and other communities, Webster is in the top 10, and they are number 7 right
Really?
now. And when it comes to substantiated incidents, they're number 3. So that is a huge concern.
Sure.
You know, I know we have issues, and I'm not just saying Webster only. I know we have issues in Oxford, in Sutton, in Douglas. We all know, excuse me, child abuse does not discriminate.
Right.
We know that.
Right.
So I'm trying to work now with Project Success in Webster, the Children's Trust
Okay.
in Brookline, and learn more of what is their proactive stance. How do they bring education into the schools? How do they get partnerships with the police department, with the town officials, with families, bringing in solutions? And that's what I'm learning about now. There is a lot of work to be done.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
Will we save every child? No, we know that. But we can start with one child at a time.
Sure. Yeah,
And-
you know,
and
absolutely. You have to start somewhere,
You
right?
have to start somewhere, and we don't hear about it. That was the other part of it that I couldn't understand. Where was this issue? Why isn't it being brought up and discussed and do something? You don't hear anything about it.
Right.
So that has spurred me on tremendously, is the child abuse issue.
So what action would you take on Beacon Hill in regards to
If
child abuse?
when I make it to Beacon Hill, like I said, I'm not a shrinking violet. A former state rep had said to me, Brenda, you are not going to be the typical freshman state rep. I will do everything I can, seek out everyone I can to work with me. I want to have bipartisan solution to all of my issues. You know, this us against them certainly isn't working very well for our country, and it's not working very well for our Commonwealth.
Right.
So I will seek out those who will say to me, I'm on board, let's work on this. That's what I'm going to be looking for.
Okay. Okay, sure. Where else would you concentrate as far as
Well,
your platform is concerned?
We know jobs and families go hand in hand. And, you know, unemployment rate may say one number, but we still have a very lackluster economy in our area. There are people that are struggling every week to make ends meet. I've been there. I know what that's all about. Mm-hmm. Somehow we have to spur development in our area. Webster has a fabulous downtown, but it has no business, no activity. Oxford, beautiful Main Street. Where's the businesses? We have an industrial park also. People come in, they don't stay long, they move out. We want them to stay. We want these businesses to make Oxford home.
Sure.
Sutton is a completely different, for me, kind of town. It doesn't really have that Main Street. It has more of the, you know, the town common, that old country feel.
It has Route 146, right? I mean.
That's right. It's got 146 as their Main Street.
Yeah.
I know that is I've been told many times that is a significant traffic problem for the Sutton area, for
Sure.
Millbury. So that is something I would like to look at also. Mm-hmm. The other part of Sutton is their open space. I've been contacted by their open space committee. And they have, by one woman actually, and what they're doing is they're looking at really everything. And there's a lot of beautiful space in Sutton.
Oh, there is, yeah. It's a beautiful town.
It's a beautiful, it absolutely is a beautiful town.
We're blessed to live in a beautiful area. You know?
I have to say, when I drive the country roads, like when I go from Oxford to Douglas or Oxford to Sutton, the roads, you just could get lost.
Oh yeah, Central Turnpike is it's a wonderful drive. It really is.
It is.
Uxbridge Road is beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, just the scenery is tremendous.
It is.
We live in, again, an area rich in history too. The Blackstone Valley being the heart of the Industrial Revolution in America.
Yeah.
Really the first automated factory, not automated, but the first river-powered factories were built here in the Blackstone Valley.
Exactly.
You know, so we really do have a rich history here as well.
We do.
Yeah.
On the other part of the jobs, I would bring in the small town owners, the managers, and I would want to sit down at the table with them and listen to them, because I do believe they have the solution to the issue because they're living it. Mm-hmm. If we are overtaxing them and over-reporting and all of this redundancy that seems to go on within our government, we need to hear from them and sit with them and then take their issues to the State House and say, look, this is what's happening in our district. We have hardworking, loyal people. We have people that don't move. We know that. We have businesses that stay. They don't leave. When they stay, they've been there forever. And the reason they've been there forever is because they're loyal, they're hardworking, but now there is such a drain on them. We need to be able to say to them, look, we want to hear what you have to say. Take all of that information back to the legislators at the State House and get the ideas out there to repair what's happening. Because the economy is, you know.
It is. It's been a very, very sluggish recovery.
Very sluggish.
That's for certain.
You know, when somebody calls me and says to me, I just had to spend my whole pay on a tank of oil, and it's only going to last me a month and a half.
Right.
If that. We've had a hard winter. It's been cold.
Yes.
What am I going to do?
Yeah. Yeah. It's difficult. It's a tough question.
Right. It's pellets. You can't even get pellets. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yep.
So
the third leg of your platform would be education, I guess.
Education, yes.
Yeah.
I think one of the misconceptions about me is people think that, oh, she's all education, 24/7. Well, she's not,
A seat on the school board will do that.
I know, I guess so.
I guess peg you a little bit into that
You're right, you're right. But I have to tell you, the lessons and the education I have received from being on the school committee is amazing. It is more than I ever expected. when I began this journey being on the school committee, a Board of Selectmen member had come to me, and Molly was in kindergarten, and said to me, you know, you really should look into this. And I said, went home and I said to Steve, I said, you know, I've just been asked to be on the school committee. And right away he said, do it.
There you go.
And I said, I don't know anything about it. He goes, so what? Do it.
Learn on the job.
That's right, and you do, believe me, you do. And I looked up some things, and I got some information, I did a little bit of research, and I said to myself, I can do this. This is easy.
Sure.
This is not easy. There is nothing easy about being on the Oxford School Committee or any school committee.
Any school committee, yeah.
No,
yeah.
no, it's not easy.
We just had a 4-way race for a school committee here in
Oh,
Milford.
did you? Okay.
Yeah, so it was interesting the way that it turned out. Very, very close between the second and third candidate. There was 2 seats open.
Really?
And 4 people ran for them. The first candidate, Jen Parson, she's a principal in Northbridge, I believe.
Okay.
She won handily. But then the next 2, second and third, were very hotly contested, and the winner got it by 14 votes.
Oh, wow. Did
Yeah,
you have a good
so-
turnout for voters?
We did. We had about a 26% turnout.
Oh, that's big.
Which, yeah, it's bigger than normal, and there wasn't a contested race at the top of the ticket either.
Wow.
There was nobody running against Bill Buckley for selectman.
Okay.
Typically, we see 25 to 30% when there's a contested race for selectman. Otherwise, we see even as low as 12%.
Really? Okay.
So yeah, so that was a good one to have. Of course, we had our casino referendum here.
Oh,
in
that's right.
November.
Yes, that's right.
And that really opened
That's
up
right.
a lot of people's eyes as to what small town politics can mean.
Sure.
We had tremendous turnout for the referendum too.
I bet you did.
57% of the
Wow.
voters turned out for
Wow.
that. As far as the casino referendum is concerned, it was the best turnout
That's
of any
great.
casino referendum statewide. To that point, I don't know if there's even been another one since, but we had a tremendous
Well, at least you have
turnout.
people paying attention,
Exactly.
you know?
Exactly.
And that's what's so important, I think, in our communities. You have to pay attention to what's going on.
It is, and what really bothers me is presidential races get all the attention. The presidential race, everybody turns out to vote. Our highest turnout is 72% in the 2012 presidential election here in Milford. That's crazy. The local elections are where you have the most influence as a
That's right.
voter, and so really people should vote.
They should vote.
I can't instill that enough. People have to
Yeah.
vote.
And attend town meeting.
Yeah, yeah. It's been an eye-opener for me. I've been a town meeting member in Milford here since 2006. And
Oh,
that's
good.
really been an eye-opener for me as well. I recently moved from Precinct 5 to Precinct 6, and so now I've lost my town meeting seat.
Oh, okay.
But I did that for 6 years,
Yeah.
and I was really happy with it. I may run again at some point in the future,
Good.
but for now I'm taking a little time off from town meeting. I still attend.
Oh, yeah, you've got
You know,
to.
yeah,
You've got to. And with education, it being, when it comes to the town budget, like we were saying, it is the largest piece of the pie.
Right.
And it is a very difficult, it's very difficult to have people understand that have already put their children through school. I've already done this.
Right.
I don't want to pay any more. But you've got to remember, when your children were going to school, somebody that had done it,
Right. Was
was
paying.
paying.
Yeah. We need to pay it forward.
we need to pay it
Even-
forward.
Even
Absolutely.
people who have never had children should be happy with an education
right.
budget because they're going to need to hire a craftsman who's going to need to
Mm-hmm.
know how to add. They're going to need to hire. They're going to need a doctor. They're going to need
Yeah.
somebody that needs an education.
Right.
To serve them at some point or another. Even if you're just going out for dinner,
Yeah.
you still need. The cook back there has to have an education in
Mm.
how to cook. I mean, education is really key to everything.
It is.
So
It is.
what would you do as far as education funding or education is concerned?
Well,
for
the funding
district?
aspect I have been on since probably, let's see, 2000. I'm going to say about 2004, 2005.
Okay.
I've worked with Senator Moore. I have worked with a few other legislators in regard to the antiquated formula. It is an old formula.
Mm-hmm.
It does not have any fluctuation in it. When our economy tanks, the formula does not change. Oxford does not have multi-million-dollar homes.
Sure.
Webster does not have multi-million-dollar homes. We are on, you can ask anyone, we're on the wrong side of 128.
Yeah.
That's what they'll say. If you go on the other side of 128, where there are the million-dollar homes, they have the equestrian club, the swimming club, all of these extra
Right.
traveling clubs,
They have
skiing.
the tax base that enables
They
them
have the
to.
tax base.
Yeah.
But how can we educate our kids and some be the haves, the others be the have-nots?
Right.
It's not right. It's not fair. You're taking education away from those minds that want to just soak up everything.
Sure.
So you're not doing anybody a favor. So hopefully now Chapter 70 has finally gone to committee.
Okay.
The committee is tremendously large. There's over 30 people on the committee.
Wow.
When we were on the Mass Association of School Committees, Legislative and Resolution Committee, we had our legislative meeting. And the list came around the table after dinner of all the people. Well, when I looked at the list, I said, I've called a few of these people. And they never called me back. And here they are. So this now is going to be their crowning glory of some sort for them. That upset me greatly. Because here I am, a school committee member. We have school committees throughout the Commonwealth wanting to work on this. But now all of a sudden it goes to committee. They're going to have their name in the paper. Oh, look who's on, in committee now. But I never heard back from some of these.
Yep.
So that upset me.
Yep. So perhaps you can be named to that committee at some point, once you're elected, right?
I'm hoping, I really am hoping the committee is dispersed and there is an actual formula that will work.
Right, that
That
functions
is
properly for all
functioning,
towns, yeah.
it is proper, it is fair, and it absolutely will support every child. Not just the other kids, the rich kids.
Right,
Every child needs to be supported.
yes.
In Oxford, I can say this. We have brilliant students. We have students that have been offered full boat to Harvard. I have a gentleman on my, who is my student rep on the school committee. He's in the high school. Boston College. We have the top young lady in our school district. Actually, the fella and her are neck and neck. I think there's like a fraction of a point between them. Holy Cross, Assumption. They're all, they're coming out and saying,
Sure.
these kids are great. They have the ability. Now we have to be able to advocate for them and say, you have the ability, you want to work hard, we're going to be there to support you. I have a very strong belief, and I've had this for years, and now I think it's starting to be heard by some of the parents. I believe with all my heart that parents that are involved in education with their children can change the face of education in this country.
Well, sure, it sure does seem so, because it seems like if there's a child who's disruptive in class and that type of thing, there's no support structure at home for him, and that's
right.
why he's acting out or not
right.
working as hard as he should
Right.
be. Yeah.
Children that don't go to bed and get a good 8 hours
Sure.
are not going to be functioning properly when they go to school.
Sure.
If they don't have a breakfast, they're not going to be functioning properly when they go to school.
Right. You need that fuel.
Yeah, you need that fuel. Kids, I was telling my daughter, I said, I remember when we couldn't come home until it was time for dinner. Once we had our homework done, we were outside. Kids that don't have that activity, they have
Right.
nothing to burn off, or they're not burning it off, I should say. They have a lot to burn off. They're just not out there. Everybody's on their tablet, on their phone, on the computer.
Right. Well, it's a different world than when you and I grew up. That's for certain.
It is, but I really honestly believe that students that are supported by their families, the children of parents, even guardians, foster parents, there has to be a weave of connection with the school and home.
Yep.
It has to be
absolutely.
there, You don't just go to the school play. If your child is struggling, you have to have conversation with the teacher. Ask what's happening. Ask how to help.
Yep.
Be part of the solution.
Right.
Don't, oh, he's on the bus,
Not my problem.
done now for 6-7 hours. No, when your son or daughter comes home, how'd it go? What'd you do? What'd you hate? What'd you love?
Yep.
You know, what do you have for homework?
Right, right.
Be involved.
Be involved, yeah.
You know, if
yeah.
you're involved, education in this country will change.
Sure.
And it will become something that will be so great.
Yeah.
You know?
I always tried to, I have one daughter, and I always tried to stay very highly involved in her life. I coached her basketball team. I coached her softball team.
Yeah.
When she joined drama club, I came down with my tools, and I said, I'll help build sets. And I built
And you
sets
loved it.
I loved it. The kids loved me, too.
Of course.
You know, I was well known around the school as, you know, there goes Mr. T. And, you know, I was very well known in the school, and I loved being involved like that.
And I do too. You know, being on the school committee, I'm also on the booster club at the high school. I have coached Molly's field hockey team. I'm in and out of the buildings all the time. So I kind of get a feel. You get that, you know, you feel the vibe. You hear the hum of what's going on in the building.
Yep.
And sometimes it's very, very, very positive. And then there's other times it's just not.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And you do wonder, like, what do we need to do to lift up? Kids do want to learn.
Sure.
They do want to learn.
Yep.
So when you have
Just
that
need to
teacher,
inspire them, yeah.
when you have that teacher that's an inspiration,
Yep.
boy, oh boy, you don't want to lose her or
Right,
him, you know?
right.
You want them to stay there to inspire the students. I've been in classes where the kids are so engaged and so on the edge of their seat. That's fabulous to see.
Yes, yeah.
You know, and it can be better. It always can be better.
Yep. So before I forget,
Yes.
if somebody wants to find out any more information about your candidacy, do you have a website
I do.
where they can see more about you, or a
Yes.
Facebook page?
Yeah, I have both. I have a Facebook page. It is candidate Brenda Ennis for state rep of the 18th Worcester District.
Okay.
And my website is brenda-ennis.com.
Okay.
And, you know, feel free to drop a note. I get back to everyone. If anyone wants to have conversation with me, I'm happy to do that. I will call them one-on-one or go to their home. We've been starting to do some of that.
Okay. Have you been doing any campaigning events?
Oh, yes,
kind of
we've
thing?
had.
Yeah.
I've had my kickoff. The next event that I have, actually, I'm going to a Lions Club event after here in Oxford. And the next event I have is a coffee hour at Book Lovers Gourmet in Webster.
Great.
But every day.
When will that be?
That will be next Saturday at 10 o'clock on the
Great.
12th.
10 a.m.
Yeah. And every day I'm out there.
Good.
You know,
Good.
every day.
Is Molly helping? Is she recruiting her friends to make signs for you and stuff? Or?
They all have already offered
Excellent.
that they will hold signs. We've had about a half a dozen events that I've needed an extra hand or two or four, or, you know.
Sure, sure.
And her friends have come and helped, and it's great. You know, it's.
Get them out knocking doors.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, definitely. So, you know, once we're just now getting ready to do feet on the street and get out there. You know,
Sure.
that was, I have to say, when I was running for school committee the first time. Every other time I've run unopposed.
Right.
So I only had to have one campaign. I love that part of it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'd have her with me, and we would go door to door. She would get ice cream. She would get a drink. You know, it was like, it was more fun for her than anything, but it was great. It was great getting to, even if it's a 10-second, hi, how are you? My name is Brenda Ennis.
Oh, my favorite thing is reaching out to voters. It really is. These days I'm going around on Saturdays. We'll be doing it again tomorrow.
Great.
Getting signatures for the
go.
various candidates. John Fernandez is running here in Milford for
right,
state
yeah.
rep. Joe Kennedy's running. Ed Markey's running.
Yeah.
So many candidates are running. I was out on Election Day. Was this past Tuesday, April 1st was Election Day. I went to the polls, and there were people out holding signs.
Yeah.
Now, I had to be 150 feet away from the polling place because I was doing partisan political activity.
Yeah.
But I just went to everybody that was holding signs because they likewise had to be 150 feet away.
That's right.
There were dozens of people there. I had 10 sets of signature papers. I got, I think, 90 signatures in 15
that's
minutes.
great. Yeah.
You know, I didn't
Yeah.
have a lot of time to spend doing it. I had to work, but I did get out for 15, 20 minutes, and I got a good 90 or 100 signatures.
We'll be out tomorrow morning also. Tomorrow we'll be at the Webster Post Office.
Okay, yep.
So we will be there gathering more signatures.
It really is my favorite thing, is to just go around talking to voters.
And you know, you really get a really good piece of what is happening with them.
Yeah.
If they want to discuss anything with you, they will do so at that time.
At that time, yes. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and
When we did the Casino Free Milford, we went out and canvassed neighborhoods for that as well. I can't tell you how many people thanked me
Yeah.
just for putting in the effort, just for going around and knocking on
Say
doors,
that.
you know?
Even being on the school committee, I will tell you, even though it is one of the toughest jobs I've ever loved, every now and then, I get a thank you.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Well, when we held signs against the casino on the referendum day last November, I would say a couple of hundred people came up to us and thanked us for what we had done. Many of them picked up a sign and stayed for a half hour.
Wow,
You know,
that's
just
great.
just to be part of
Right.
part of the event. And when we won that night, I'm telling you, I tear up when I think about it.
Well, I'm glad Milford is so we can say Milford is in the clear.
Exactly.
You know,
we're in the
really.
clear. Yeah.
Yeah, you're in the
Revere,
clear.
unfortunately, they voted for a casino, and so the people of East Boston, the No Easty Casino people, they're bitterly disappointed
Oh, I'm sure
because
they
they
are.
managed to beat the casino, and now it's going to go into the same location,
right.
just the
Back
part of
door.
the property that's in
Yeah.
Revere, if it gets approved.
Right.
But that's a mess too with the gaming commission and the nightmare that's going on there with conflicts of interest and
I think
everything else.
that I think that if you want to talk about things that need to be looked into,
Yeah. It's
those kinds of happenings really upset me.
oh yeah.
You know, because we're putting our trust into them. And that's another thing why I'm running. I put my trust, I put my faith
Into
into
your
whoever
representative. Yeah.
whether I support them or not.
Right. But we have a representative democracy, and they've got to
And-
represent you well.
And
Yeah.
I want people to know that I will never, never leave them on the side of the road. Never. I'm not made that way.
Right.
I haven't done that in the 11 years I've been on the Oxford School Committee.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I've run unopposed for some reason.
Some reason, yeah.
You know, some reason.
Someone thinks you're doing the right thing because nobody's running against you,
You
right?
know, and even when I run unopposed, which I think is the greatest compliment, I'm the highest vote getter in town.
Yep.
So in saying that, I must be doing something right.
Right.
And it's like I said, it's my time. This is
Sure.
my time.
Sure.
And you know, usually the best man for a job like this is a woman.
There you go.
And in my case,
Absolutely,
true.
it is, right?
it's true.
There you go. There you go. Well, you know, the thing that gets me about the casinos
Mm.
is that when we have politicians advocating for a state casino, there's a fundamental conflict of interest there. They're advocating for something that's actually detrimental to the population.
Right.
And it really, you know, the reliance on the lottery and casino gambling now really kind of puts the lie to the word Commonwealth.
Yeah.
If we truly have a Commonwealth, we shouldn't be relying so much on forms of revenue that disproportionately prey on people who can least afford
Well, I think
to do so, to put their money there.
when you look at what's happened in Connecticut,
Right, right.
you know, yes, when it first opens, of course everybody wants to go see what it's all about.
Yep.
But look what's happened now.
Right. That's why Foxwoods wanted to come here. Their revenues are down.
that's right.
And their revenues have been shrinking. I think something like the past 7 years, their revenues have been falling steadily.
Yeah.
And so
it's-
that's why they
right.
want to expand.
Steadily.
Yeah, steadily. Yeah, it's not. This is not an aberration.
No,
And that's why they wanted to expand here, because they see a Massachusetts casino as a death knell for their largest casino in the world down there. So, yeah, it's really kind of it's a shady situation that I wish Massachusetts had avoided.
I do too.
We didn't
I do
need it.
too. Yeah.
We lead this country, and we really, you know, we've been leading this country since before it was a country.
That's right.
And we should be demonstrating how to balance our books without relying disproportionately on people who
Right.
might have a gambling problem. Or,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. To fund our education and, you know, fund these things, it just doesn't make sense.
doesn't
And I
make-
agree with
yeah,
you.
Doesn't make sense at
Yeah,
all.
I agree with you, especially with what's going on with the Gaming Commission.
Yeah.
I would have fired them a long time ago. A long, long time ago.
Sure.
So,
Sure. So let's talk a little bit about open space.
okay. Open Space in Sutton has, like I said, has contacted me, and actually they're doing some work up at Whittier Farm. And Whittier Farm, I mean, if you want to talk about country beauty, you know, when you go up to the hill and there's that beautiful farm and their little shop and everything, I mean, that is just fabulous. Sure. They're doing some work with the water the runoff of the water. And they also are looking into, because they have so much open space. I think because the winter was so long, they kind of, and so much snow, they pulled back now. Now this spring is a time that they will start to do their work again in their research.
Now, I think I know Wayne Whittier. Is it Wayne?
Okay, yeah.
Is he one of the principals at Whittier Farm?
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, they're putting in a solar power
Oh, are
system
they? Oh, I didn't know that.
on their
Okay.
farm, on a part of their farmland.
Good.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
That's a perfect place to put
Oh,
solar
it
power, boy.
Sure is. Sure
it really
Yeah.
is.
Lots
I
of-
didn't know that.
Lots
but
of wide open space there. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. So it's something I'm very interested in. In Oxford, we did have a committee come together, and they received a grant to do their work. They wrote for the grant. They received it. I think it was around $5,000. They did a great job. They really researched the open space in Oxford. They just put their heart and soul into it, and the task completed, and it was successful. So we have a lot of protected space now.
Excellent.
And it is, because
Oxford's
is
such a picturesque town.
it
really
is absolutely
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
You know what? And it's got some of the nicest people you'll ever want to meet.
Brenda Ennis is included in that.
It does. It really is. It's a great place to raise your children, to be part of a community. We recently, as you probably saw, we had a fire on Main Street.
Yes.
One of our most historic homes on Main Street. Well, our community came together like no other. Clothing, gift cards, cash, to help these 7 families.
Okay.
You know,
Yep.
they lost everything.
Sure.
So how do you lose everything and start anew? It's very difficult.
Right.
But we came together, you know, making a couple of phone calls here and there. Some of the churches pitched in. Everybody now is starting to find more permanent housing. You know, there are those living with friends, but nobody shut them away.
Sure.
You know, it's just one of those kind of places where you say, I will help.
Right.
What can I do?
Where the people of the town can open their hearts.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
That's awesome.
And it is. And you know what I have to say about the district itself? From everyone I've met, and honestly, I'm going to say I've met 2 Krabby Patties. That just, they didn't want to talk to me, and that was okay. But for the most part, the people are fantastic.
That's great.
You know, they really are. Even if it's a 5-minute conversation, when you shake their hand and say thank you very much, you can tell in a handshake, if that grip is solid, you did something right, you know?
Yep.
So I think that as I go on and as I keep on campaigning and really now that the weather is finally broken and we have sunshine in the sky, I can't wait to actually be out there even more so now.
Sure, sure. When the weather's beautiful in the springtime, again, I do love campaigning, and when the weather is beautiful in the springtime, there's just nothing better.
Yeah.
And walking around, you know, I could stand to lose a pound or 2.
Me too. I hear you. Yeah, I know.
So
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I like
I
getting
really
out,
am.
and I like getting the exercise, and
Yeah.
voter contact, to me, is just everything.
That's
It
key.
really is.
It is.
Yeah.
It's key because, like I said, you get that piece of what's happening. And it's only a small fraction
Right.
of what's happening in their life. But you know what? It's important to them.
Right, right.
So-
and I'm not even running for anything.
Well, if
Maybe
it's
someday.
important to them, you
Yep.
know, it should be important to me.
Yep.
If I'm going to go to the State House and be a representative to the district,
Absolutely, yeah. You need your
then
finger
I
on the
want to
pulse
be
and-
their voice.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I will be. There will be no question. You said before you were the loudest in your family.
But myself, I've never needed amplification, so.
I haven't either. When I was at an event a couple weeks ago, and they said, "Oh, you're going to need a microphone," and somebody yelled out, "No, she won't."
It's nice to be well known, right? I was at an event a little while ago, and there were families. There had to be 60 or 70 people in this room, and a lot of them were children, you know, 5, 6, and under.
Yeah.
And so it was noisy. You know, there was pizza and there was food and
Right.
all that kind of stuff, and it was noisy. And one of the guys wanted to say a few words, and he was just looking around saying, "How am I going to quiet this crowd down?" I can help.
That's great. That's
One
great.
quick shout, attention please everybody.
Yeah,
and,
that's right. There you
suddenly
go.
all heads snapped around and everybody quieted down. So
There you go. There you go.
works well for me. I
That's
like
good.
it. I like it a lot.
That's good.
So what about open space plans elsewhere? You talked about Oxford, you talked about...
I don't have any information on Webster yet or in Douglas.
Okay.
I know I have actually a friend in Douglas, my friend Keith Brown, who is a Board of Selectmen member, is going to be putting me in touch with their, I don't know if they have a committee or if they have kind of a grassroots organization starting up.
Okay.
But he said he would put me in touch with them because he's a farmer, so he's very interested
Sure,
in the
sure.
open space. So I look
Yeah.
forward to sitting and talking with them, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And in Sutton, is there an open space plan in Sutton that you know of?
Well, the one that I had said, there is a plan, and they had halted because of the snow.
Okay.
So
Okay.
now that spring has come,
Uh-huh.
I'm hoping that they will invite me to a meeting.
Terrific. Let's remind people again
Yes.
how they can get in touch with you, how they can find out more about your candidacy.
Sure, my website is brenda-ennis.com.
And that's ENNIS, correct?
Yes, ENNIS, yep.
Yep.
And on Facebook, candidate Brenda A. Ennis, 4-state rep, 18th Worcester District.
Okay, terrific. Let's talk a little bit more about jobs. You had mentioned, one of the big things that's going on Beacon Hill right now is that minimum wage bill.
Yeah.
The Senate passed a very progressive minimum wage bill. I was very proud of the Senate, the
Yes,
way that they did
I
that
was
one.
too, yep.
The House, on the other side, their bill was a little bit lacking.
Yeah.
And so, and the way that it was done, the House kind of started again with a fresh bill. So it's kind of even an open question whether this can go to conference committee
Right.
and have the differences hashed out. What's your opinion on the minimum wage bill?
I think I agree with you with the Senate, absolutely. I think that we have to increase our minimum wage. People cannot live on $8 an hour.
I think we need to change the mode of thinking on it even. It shouldn't be
Oh,
a minimum
absolutely.
wage. It should be a
Living wage, I agree.
We really
Living
need a
wage,
living
yeah,
wage.
yeah.
People who make minimum wage shouldn't live in poverty.
No, they shouldn't.
People should make a living wage.
Right.
You need enough money to live on. You need enough money to be able to pay your rent, to be able to buy groceries, to be able to afford a few small luxury items in your life. That's what really makes life worth living. So
It's true,
It's
yeah.
something that we really need to really take a
I do
good
agree
hard
with
look
you
at.
there, absolutely. And like you say, for it to be a living wage, the whole mindset needs to be changed, especially with the employers.
Yep.
It must be discussed, and they have to think, if their employees are doing well, they are going to do well at work.
Sure.
They're going to turn it, like we say, pay it forward. Well, they're going to take that, being able to take care of their family, to say, I've got to keep this job, I better do a good job. I'm getting a living wage that I can live on now, so I want to be part of this company, this business,
Sure.
and grow with it.
And a big part of, we talked before about the lackluster recovery that we've had since the Great Recession hit back in 2008.
Yeah.
A big part of that is consumer demand.
Yes.
Consumer demand fuels the economy.
Yeah.
And when wages stagnate and when people don't have enough money, consumer demand falls off, and that's what we're seeing right here.
Yes, it is.
So really, I really want to see some progress on Beacon Hill on that minimum wage bill, and I hope that
I do
the
too.
House does something about
They
that.
have to understand that just because they don't live it, which is what it is, I think that's part of the problem. When you're in the House of Representatives, you're not living on an $8 an hour, an $8.25,
Right.
okay,
Right.
hourly wage. You're not living that. So stop being so close-minded and open your mind and look at the other side of it. Don't just look at it for the dollar figure, because I think that's the mindset. Let's look at how people are living, how they are able to take care of their children or not able to take care of their children.
Right.
How are
Right.
they able to put food on the table or not put food on the table?
And this actually brings us back to what your original point in child abuse.
Right.
When there isn't enough money in a household, that can also lead to frustrations
It is
and lead to a cycle of abuse.
When the economy is in the tank, child abuse rises.
Yep.
It is a fact. It is not a question. It is not a, oh, come on. It is an absolute fact. Children who are neglected I'm not talking about physical abuse, I'm talking about neglect, are more commonly known, maybe is the way to put it, outside of the family, because the neglect is visible.
Mm-hmm.
The child abuse, where there are bruises and other types of incidents that are happening that are hidden, are not as apparent as the neglect.
Yep.
And there are families, and I know that there are families that have had, devastating loss when it comes to their jobs. And they've lost their homes. They've lost everything. The House of Representatives, the State Senate, needs to understand it is not just about the dollar. We're talking about people here.
Right. And again, we're a commonwealth, aren't we?
That's right.
We need to always remember that.
Stand by the name of this state.
Mm-hmm.
It is a commonwealth.
Yep.
And stop making it about, this other, like I say, the us against them. I can't, I don't understand it.
Right.
I don't understand how a representative or a senator that is hired by the people to do their work and do their job, and just once they're in, they forget what brought them there and how they got there. I can't understand it.
Well, it's like you say, when you look at it with an us against them attitude, we are the United States of America.
Right.
Lincoln, a house divided against itself cannot stand. And that's, we're getting to a point where partisan politics is just, if the Democrats are for it, the Republicans are against it.
It's ridiculous.
And it doesn't matter how much sense it makes. If the Republicans are for it, Democrats are against it.
If they don't collaborate and start working together, which is something I love. I love that collaboration.
Sure.
I will work with anyone. I don't care what your opinion is, and I don't want you really to care about what my opinion is, but let's discuss it.
Sure.
Okay,
sure.
Let's hear each other out, like people should,
Well, yeah, this country was built on compromise.
It was built on compromise.
The government is designed to force compromise.
That's right.
Look at the great compromises that led up to the Civil War in 1860.
Mm-hmm.
How many compromises had to take place in order to even just get to that point? I mean, certainly things broke in the Civil War, but the Union stood, and we forged ourselves back together again. But you look at the history of compromise in this country, and it's been just that's the way it is. We need to compromise in order to make any progress at all.
Well, I hope once I am in the State House that I can at least forge out those people that are really willing to dig their heels in and work for the common man, because that's what this is about. This is not about me getting rich, because I'm not going to get rich.
Right. There's
I don't
not
have
even very
any
much
intention.
of a salary for a state
That's
rep,
right.
is it?
I have no intention of getting rich. I don't want to write a book. I don't want to go any further. I don't want to be a senator. I'm not looking for that. I want to represent my district. I want to work hard for the people, the common man, because that's who lives in Webster, in Sutton, in Douglas, and in Oxford.
Yep.
We're not a big affluent area. We're just hard-working people who deserve to be represented, and be represented well.
Yep.
I'm not a fan of, I'll get back to you, and then they don't.
Right.
And that's what's happened in my district.
Now, I'm familiar with the partisan breakdown in a number of towns, not so much in Oxford, Sutton, and Webster, but I know Douglas.
Okay. Yeah.
Statewide, the partisan breakdown goes, it's about 11 or 12% Republican, around 36, 37% Democratic, and the rest unenrolled.
Right.
So unenrolled actually, there's more unenrolled people in the state than there are members of either party.
Right.
I know in Douglas, I've seen the voter database in Douglas, it's about 20% Democratic, 20% Republican, and 60% unenrolled.
Yeah.
So there's that Yankee independent streak in this area, that really, it's that's the type of person that you need to appeal to, and that's the type
definitely.
of, I think that's the type of representative, from what we're discussing here tonight, I would say that's the type of representative that you would be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think my history, for my 11 years now has done very well for me, because I have made it, even though it's a small difference, I know that I have made a difference. I know that some children in our community are getting a better education because the parents reached out to me, and even though it's not part of my role as an elected official to make any decisions on any child's education, but I do go to bat for them. I do say to the superintendent, Molly is having trouble in school. The parents are frustrated. You need to step in and do your job. Mm-hmm. And he does. So by me saying that, by me letting him know, giving him the heads up that Molly is having trouble, then he can go and do his job. Well, guess what? That small little nudge will help Molly get a better education.
Sure, sure.
The frustration ends. But the parents say, thank you. Mm-hmm. You know?
That makes perfect sense.
And those are the kinds of things that made me come here. This is how I got here. I'll tell you, 10 years ago, no way. I wouldn't even have thought of it. I would never have thought of it, to come into this place and do this kind of job. But I am experienced. I am a leader. I am not afraid to speak my mind. Mm-hmm. I am not afraid to speak my mind. I may upset some people, and I'm very sorry for that. But you know what? You heard something that made you upset. Why did it make you upset? I am not afraid to reach out to anyone for help. Mm-hmm. And I am very, very, very difficult when I hear the word no. I don't hear it. A little bit
of tenacity to go
after that.
I
don't hear it very well. I don't hear that word very well.
Yeah, that's terrific.
You know.
Yeah.
So like I said, the best man is this woman right here. And, you know, I can just say I will, as I've said to you, John, I will work very hard. I'm not afraid of hard work. I haven't been afraid of hard work. Mm-hmm. School committee, being on the school committee has given me an awesome education, a great base, a foundation really that has just made me say, you've got to go forward here.
That's
and it's
terrific.
Time for me to pay it forward.
Yeah. Another topic that we were discussing earlier was Main Street revitalization.
Oh my gosh,
what would you do in that area?
I had dinner a few weeks ago with a gentleman, a very, very popular gentleman from the town of Worcester. And he said to me, I was with his family and my family, we're actually at a school event. And he said, Brenda, I need you to do me a favor. And I said, what is it? And he said, go on Google and look up Bellows Falls, Vermont. And I said, okay. He goes, just do it. I'm not going to say any more. Do that. I said, all right. Well, when you go on Bellows Falls, Vermont, it's like you're looking at a vitalized Worcester Main Street.
Okay.
Fabulous buildings. Fabulous architecture. A walking Main Street. You never see anyone walking in Worcester on Main Street.
Sure. Everyone's driving up and down.
Driving up and down, and
right?
it takes you 20 minutes to get from one end of Main Street to the other end, till you get to the railroad tracks. The work that is done in Bellows Falls is a united, believe me, united community effort. Does not happen overnight.
Right.
But it can happen. As you have here in your studio, you have beautiful artwork from all local artists. Every one of those businesses on Main Street in Bellows Falls promotes some type of art.
Okay.
So when you're walking down, you know, you grab a cup of coffee from the local coffee shop, you're walking down the street, you see art, you want to stop, you go in, you talk to the owners, or the workers, you see what's happening in the shops. Worcester right now looks barren, the Main Street. It needs to be revitalized. It needs to be built up again. They are putting in a fantastic police department, People should feel safe. That police department is based right on Main Street. They should feel safe now to put their kids in the stroller and walk down the street. But what are you going to look at? There's nothing there to look at.
Right.
So one of the ideas I had actually came from looking at the Bellows Falls, Vermont website, which I tell everybody to do. Just look at it and tell me what you see on the opening picture. What does it look like to you? It looks like a energized Webster.
Okay.
That's what it looks like. So my thought would be to bring these businesses that are there, the existing businesses that are there now. How do you want to make this area? Give it a theme. Give it that beautiful. I mean, Webster Main Street can be beautiful.
Yep.
It can be rebuilt.
Now, is there a Chamber of Commerce you could work with or anything like
Well,
that?
the one thing that I had thought of was the Oxford Dudley, I'm probably not in the right order, Webster Oxford Dudley Chamber
Okay.
would be one of them. And then they have a Webster Dudley Lions.
Okay.
To bring them in, to say, look, here's an idea, and formulate it for Webster. We're not going to take Bellows Falls and make, Webster Bellows Falls by any stretch, but come together, bring this committee together, and sit down and say, now look, we can formulate a plan. We can look at Bellows Falls and see what they've done. We can take a little piece of that, their idea, maybe a little bit of the theme that they have, but how would we make it Webster?
Yep.
And how will it be part of our town? All of our main streets, except for Sutton, because like we said, it has that beautiful common,
Yep.
and 146 is their main street.
Yep.
Each one of the main streets in Douglas, in Oxford, and in Webster all have that country, I don't know, it's like that country feel.
Yep.
You know you're not in a city, you know you are in a rural area that's built up a bit,
Yes,
okay?
yep.
Absolutely built up. But you have that very hometown feeling when you're driving through. I've had relatives come into Oxford and say, this Main Street driving to your house is fantastic.
Yep.
The homes, and when we have the flags out and all of that. I was just telling my daughter Molly when we were coming through Douglas, I said, look at how nice this is. Doesn't it give you a nice feeling?
Sure.
And she said, yeah. She had never been.
Okay.
She was like, yeah, I can see it.
Uh-huh.
So I think we need to just kind of get back to our roots, so to speak,
Right.
and build up these main streets. Give them that. It does need a theme.
Right.
A
Yep.
theme to follow. We can't just haphazardly say, oh, we're going to put a business here, we're going to put a business here, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. We can't do that. We need to sit down and figure out what is the best way to bring that energy back to Main Street. Have people say, I feel safe when I'm walking down the road with my kids. Mm-hmm. There's an event going on at the library. There's something happening at the coffee shop. There's, so-and-so is having a sale. These things are happening, so you want to get out. Oh, what a great place to go out and have dinner. And then take a walk after dinner down Main Street to see what's going on.
Sure, sure.
That's what this area was built on.
So I think we need to wrap up. We've been talking for quite a while here. So
We have.
Brenda, it's been wonderful having you on the
Thank
show.
you.
I'm
Thank
really
you.
happy that you're able to make it tonight, and I wish you a lot of luck with your candidacy.
Thanks,
The
John.
primary is on September 18th?
September 9.
September 9th?
Yes,
Okay, so
yeah.
the primary is September 9th?
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to a nice spring and summer of campaigning.
Absolutely.
So,
Thank you so much,
okay.
John.
Thank
It's
you.
been a pleasure.
Thank you very much for
Thank
being
you.
here. You've been watching All Politics is Local, a production of the Greater Blackstone Valley Democrats. If you'd like to learn any more about the Greater Blackstone Valley Dems, please visit our website, www.gbvdems.org. And if you want to find out about Brenda Ennis, visit brenda-ennis, ENNIS.com. Thanks for watching. Good night.